talking about the Matrix. I know you're real big on the Matrix. You watched it
I love
before.
the Matrix. We're living in the Matrix, bro.
You say we're living in the Matrix. Why do you think we're living in the Matrix?
When I say that we're living in the Matrix, I don't mean that we're living in a simulation, right? What I mean, though, is that the things that go on around us are not by happenstance. I think there's so many things that we don't pay attention to that are happening by design that seem like a million little coincidences until they start to fall into place. And that's what I mean about like we're living in the Matrix. You can choose to be blind to it, be blind to the things around you. It's easy to write somebody off and say, "Oh, conspiracy theorist." Right? I mean, what did Elon Musk just tweet? Like, we need some more conspiracy theories because they've all come true. Like, it's history. You have to understand history, and if you understand history, then you understand that like they're not conspiracy theories. We're repeating the past. We're just repeating it in different ways and on larger scales. It all comes back to power. It all comes back to control. And that's what I mean by we are living in the Matrix. We are living in a designed system that is leading towards wide scale control.
Do you think the reason why the common person doesn't have any real power nowadays is because they don't really have a true goal or purpose?
No.
Because let me just explain why I said that real quick. We spoke before about the Matrix. If anybody's seen the Matrix trilogy, I think it was four that came out. That was three or four.
I think that was the first three.
So it's three.
First were three, yeah.
So
which the third one just gets a little weird.
Oh yeah. I'm about to say the one I was thinking about was Animatrix, but pretty much
that was a good series.
That was good.
Yeah.
So pretty much what's so interesting when you actually get into the whole Matrix lore is that the Matrix that you see in the movie is the third Matrix. It's not the first or the second. The first
Correct.
Matrix was the Paradise Matrix, where everything was perfect. Like you didn't have to work. None of your loved ones died.
Garden of Eden.
Garden of Eden. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Parallels.
And it got to the point where people started thinking like, this is too good to be true. And that's interesting to me because I posted something on Facebook where it was just like, if you had an option to live in a world with no problems, no stress, no grief, but you had no real free will,
yeah,
would you do it? Everybody said no. I was like, but so what if the other option is you have free will, but it's total chaos?
Sure.
They said they'll take the free will even with the chaos, and for me, I think most people will take the peace.
Oh, I think people say that they would take the free will and the chaos, but I think that if you look at society, it proves otherwise.
Exactly, and it improves it even. Well, to me, I find it interesting that some people would rather have free will than peace. And that shows you how complex the human psyche is. Where it's just like, do you even know what you want?
Our society is it's the poster child for just livestock herd mentality. I mean, I've never known a time in my lifetime. I feel like we had styles and trends, but like I feel like there was still individuality. You walk outside now, everyone's wearing the same thing. I mean, an outfit comes out on TikTok and 2 days later, everyone's wearing the same item. You can't get it. It's like sold out everywhere. Everybody has it. Like we've moved into this like herd mentality where it's just like go with the flow. Don't question it. Don't go against it. Don't be an outside. And we can get a whole nother topic here. It starts to lead into this mentality of wokeness where it starts to create these are areas that you have to focus on, and these are things that you're not allowed to talk about. But we are accepting of all things. Well, no, you're not. That's bullshit. You're not.
And before we get to that topic, to get back on the Matrix, the second Matrix was pretty much nightmare. Pretty much like everything going bad for you. That failed real quick. The system, or whatever you want to say the system is, found out
it's too bad, and people fight against it.
If it's too good, they're gonna fight against it. So you had to find a happy medium. And
pacified.
Exactly. So the third matrix is pretty much they wanted to control your emotions where it can go up and down, but it's never going to be up there for too long.
Yeah.
So pretty much you're kind of like steadfast.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because in the latest Matrix, they were saying we found out we get the most energy out of people when we make them feel different emotions, like when we make them feel unstable. And that's how I feel like nowadays is. I feel like people are unstable, they're unsure in themselves, they're all over the place. The only ones that do kind of know where they at are like the people who are older, who've been here for a while.
Correct. You know, I mean okay, so the basis of addiction is inconsistency. And this is what Instagram algorithms are based off of is intentional inconsistency. So there were studies, I can't remember the name of the scientist. It was a German scientist. I think we talked about this. He put a pigeon in the booth in this box, and a light would light up. And eventually the pigeon learned that if it went and it pressed on the light, it pecked at it, then food would come out. So when the pigeon would get hungry, the pigeon would go over and it'd peck at the light. As the light would come on, food would come out, light would go off. A couple hours later to come on, walk over, peck at it, food comes out. They did this for a while. So the pigeon became accustomed to the idea of like, light comes on, I press on it, I get fed. Then what they started to do is they started to introduce inconsistency. So sometimes the light would come on, the pigeon would peck at it, and the food would come out. Sometimes it wouldn't. And the moment that started, the pigeon just never stopped. It's pecking, it's pecking, pecking. That's the algorithm of Instagram. When you're scrolling, you scroll.
But,
I like this.
But you also said that's like the format of like unemployment in the government, like being pretty much reliant on government help.
Yeah. Medicare, Medicaid, WIC, Social Security,
and
food stamps.
And it got worse since the pandemic with the whole stimulus thing, because almost like people feel like I can do nothing and still get a reward for it.
Yeah. And okay, let me preface this. I'm a Reformed Democrat.
Okay.
I'm a Reformed Democrat. Not that I'm like a raging Republican. I'm actually more libertarian than anything. What you've seen with the Democratic Party and like financial assistance as a whole, just whatever you want to call it, whatever government assistance program, what you're seeing is that Goldilocks environment, that matrix type environment, right? It's about creating passivity. We're going to give you just enough to keep you fed, not enough to get out, right? Not enough to not too little that you starve, but just enough that you continue to vote for us. And I saw it. I mean, you know this. I was one of two white people in my neighborhood. Like I grew up in a very, very tough neighborhood in California. I had this idea of like, this is the way society works. And I saw this like perpetuation over and over and over. And I remember having friends, the ones that didn't go to jail, who were like, I got hired on at Target. And it was like, I made it. I got a job at Target. I'm like, there's got to be more than this. There's got to be more. There's got to be more than getting a job at Target and then having supplemental income come in to help with the rest of my bills. There is this reliance that is created on the government of like, vote for us, support us, and we will support you. It becomes this reciprocal reliance, and it's enablement. It is enablement. And I was telling you about that video I saw of the baby bird that had fallen out of the nest, and it's chasing this worm right through the gutter, and it catches up to the worm and it opens its mouth and it stands there, and the worm crawls away, and this bird is like frustrated, and it runs up to it again and opens its mouth and it stands there, and you've got this baby bird, and it's like doesn't understand why the worm is not jumping in its mouth, right? And I think that if you look at our society today, there has been this objective to push this agenda economically of reliance on Big Brother, reliance on the government. this created expectation that we should rely on the government, when in reality, we should not. We should not. That's not what they're there for. We should rely on ourselves.